Two, one. All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in to our Facebook Live. It is such an honor to have Natasha Ivory Evans here with us. She had a very scary incident happen to her family, and then she was brave enough to take that story to Facebook and make that post public, and it went viral as it should have. It was a very eye-opening and scary incident, and the world needed to know about it. So, Natasha, thank you so much for, again, being brave enough to share such a personal and scary story with the world. And I truly believe that your insights are going to help so many others. So, yeah, for those of you watching who don't know what happened, Natasha, can you outline, what happened that day?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the interview. I appreciate it. So that particular day, my daughter wanted to stay the night at a friend's house. It was a trusted friend. We had her over staying the night with us before, and my daughter has stayed at their home. We were comfortable with it. No issues. They were both young homeschooled girls. Her friend was 12. I dropped her off around 6 o'clock. And at 2 a.m. the next morning, there was a knock at the door, and it was two police officers, a private investigator, and my daughter. So come to find out, a police officer pulled over a vehicle with my daughter and her friend in the back of it. They were picked up in one city in Rockland, California, and driving towards the freeway, and are actually pulled over in Roseville, so in a different city. And the police officers handcuffed the men, called over 4 other squad cars, separated all of them, questioned them for about 4 hours, crime taped off the whole area, and did a thorough investigation. Come to find out, the driver of the vehicle was a convicted felon for armed robbery, prior conviction, and the other man in the vehicle didn't have any prior convictions. So my daughter's friend had been talking to this guy on Instagram. The driver of the vehicle had followed her on Instagram and had been reaching out to her every day, grooming her, asking her in the morning, "How's your day? How are you doing? What are you doing today?" So my daughter trusted her friend when they came to pick them up at her house. So her mom was upstairs, and they lived in a large house. She was a single mom upstairs in her room, had no idea that my daughter and her friend walked out the front door at 9 at night. So the men told my daughter and her friend that they were going to take them to Dutch Brothers, get them some coffee, and then they bring them back, just something innocent. My daughter was apprehensive, of course, at first, but she trusted her friend and, just thought, okay, I'm going to go along. And she told me when she was in the car, she had a feeling something was off. But at the time, my daughter didn't have a phone. I had taken it away a couple months prior, just because I felt it was a good time to, cleanse of things and get away from social media and the drama and the bullying and things that happen in her age group. So fast forward, when they came to my door, they showed me a mugshot of a man and asked if I knew who he was. And I said, no, I have no idea. And they said, well, this is the man that your daughter was in the car with. And I was in complete shock, first of all, as to why wasn't I notified? Yeah. Come to find out, my daughter's friend's mother had my name in her phone under my last name, and she couldn't remember it for the life of her. And the police wouldn't let her go up and talk to her daughter to, mess with the crime scene at all. So the whole thing was just a terrifying, shocking experience. I know that it's still under investigation. I still have yet to get a police report. I still have yet to know the real names of the men. And so that part's frustrating, very frustrating. But the police officers did inform me that had they not pulled them over, it could have ended very differently, because they believe that the men had ties to sex trafficking, human trafficking.
I have so many questions, but most of all, just an enormous feeling of overwhelming gratitude that they did pull these men over, and your daughter and her friend are both home and safe. And you said your daughter is 12.
Her friend was 12. My daughter was 13 at the time. She just turned 14.
Yeah. And so despite teaching your daughter everything that you think she should know, it's still that element of peer pressure where parents can't, there's just not much we can do there.
Yeah, very much so.
What was your daughter thinking and feeling at the time? You know, you said she mentioned she felt something was off. Can you expand on that a little more?
Well, she didn't see their faces because it was 9 at night when she got in the car. But when they got in, they were just talking to her, normal conversation. Mm-hmm. How was your day? You know, what did you guys do today? Just making small talk. Mm-hmm. And she said she kept nudging her friend, like, you know, where are we going? What are we doing? You know, trying to get a feel for things. But she said she just had a gut feeling that it didn't feel right. Something was weird. It was a strange feeling. Wow. They had music playing and just headed down the road.
And this friend, how long, to your knowledge, had she been communicating via DM on Instagram with this gentleman?
3 months. I had gone to her. I know the police have her phone still as evidence.
Wow.
And I went to her home and met with her mother afterwards to talk, you know, to both of them and to ask, you know, what were you thinking? How did this happen? Like, I wanted to know everything.
Right.
And she said he reached out to her on Instagram and they just started chatting. And it had been 3 months of every day chatting, talking. Again, she's a homeschooled girl, you know, has a lot of time on her hands and things aren't being monitored. I'm guessing as a lot of parents aren't monitoring everything. You know, I mean, it's just, we don't have all that time to sit and watch everything they're doing.
Right.
And that was their first face-to-face meet, was that night.
And did the friend, in hindsight, realize how dangerous it was?
Yeah, she did. She did. She was, of course, had some naivety. Like, I didn't feel like they were going to hurt us. It didn't feel, you know, like they were going to do anything bad. This person had become my friend. You know, we talked all the time.
Right.
So, you know, I come to find out that's one of their grooming techniques. It's how they work with it.
Yeah, I mean, they're pros. Mm-hmm. People and are smart, unfortunately, about how they go about communicating with children, and just people who are vulnerable emotionally. And so obviously after the fact, hindsight's 2020, but before this happened, did she say why she accepted a friend request from somebody she didn't know, and why she thought it was okay to talk with a stranger whom she did not know through school or sports, etc.?
You know, I didn't get that far with questioning her. I mean, her mom was right there when I went to the house. And of course, I was really upset. I hadn't slept in, you know, like 72 hours and it was just chaos. Mm-hmm. So that part, I don't really know. I did want to just get face to face with her and let her know that, you know, this is the reality of things that could have happened. And her mom wasn't very educated on this stuff either. So I was able to shed a lot of light to it because I do teach both of my daughters about this. I was born and raised in a small town in Alaska, and living in California, it's completely different. I had my daughters watch that movie Eden like a week and a half prior to this happening. But again, this is an entirely different scenario. This is a friend peer pressure versus like in the movie, you know, she's taken from a bar from a stranger. So there's just so many different avenues and ways that they can work when reaching their kids, and you have to educate them on, you know, friendships, really, who really are your friends, and that's what it's come to at this point. And with my daughter, speaking to her about these things, and you know, relaying them to her friends, and helping her to be a voice, and you know, to her friends about this as well.
Absolutely. And this Facebook Live to be clear, is not about judgment and shaking the finger at children or the other mother involved. It's not about that, because first of all, our frontal lobes aren't fully formed until we're 25. So when we're 12 and 13 and 14, we are going to make bad choices. I did, I definitely fell, succumb to peer pressure. It's a part of growing up. So this is definitely not about judgment. And also as a parent, I have made mistakes. Again, hindsight's 2020. So this isn't to call out parenting styles or judgment calls. It's really a wake-up call for this can happen to you. This can happen to your child. This can happen to your child even when you have had discussions about this happening to other children. And so this isn't just something we see on the nightly news or a talk show that maybe happened to one person in one area, but it doesn't happen a lot. This is happening a lot.
Yeah. Yes, it's an eye-opening experience. It's still somewhat shocking because the entire scenario could have been different. We could have been searching for my daughter right now. Our lives could have been completely changed, and who knows what would have been happening to her. I know the realities of what is involved in human sex trafficking, and I know that it's a lucrative, crime, and we just have to equip ourselves and be willing to talk about it, having face-to-face conversations with other parents and, just break down the walls and just be realistic about it. And this is the day and age we raise our kids in with technology, and this is going to happen. We give them everything with a smartphone or a tablet.
Did the responders give you any insight into maybe how prevalent this is, or this isn't the first time we've seen this sort of thing, or did they educate you any more on just you're not the only one?
They didn't give us a whole lot of information when they came to bring my daughter, because they said they didn't want to, harm any, giving too much information, to compromise investigation. And the private investigator actually didn't say anything. He didn't speak at all. So they just told me to, be aware, speak to the other child's parents, and monitor everything that's going on.
Yeah,
that's really all they told me.
So, what does your daughter think and feel now? This is a lot to process, especially at that age. How is she doing?
She's doing good. We went and took some self-defense classes, and she was really excited about that. So that was really good.
Yeah.
She has some moments of fear. Like I went to the store the other day and had to run in, and she wanted to wait in the car. And I'm like, well, okay, let me just run in really fast. And she locked the doors. But when I came out, she, was telling me about a guy that she saw, and she felt worried. And we had to go through, all the steps to what you do if someone comes up to the window. How do you, handle that situation? And so that's definitely, I think, awakened, her being aware, which is really great. But it's sad because, she's young and they miss out on so much of a childhood because, fortunately, we have to equip them with this type of knowledge at a young age.
Yeah, when do you let your children know that the world is not a perfect, safe place? And how do you do that? And it's in bits and pieces. And it's very hard. It's the same thing you have to do with regard to the internet. Like the internet is not just a place for fun games and where you can find out information. There's also some bad, scary content and people. And so there's definitely a balance there. And it's something that we have to navigate as parents. And it's hard. It is very, very hard. We're all doing this together. You have this platform now. Obviously, your post resonated with so many people. It was shared something like 97,000 times. It's probably more now since the last time I checked. You have this platform. What do you want to tell parents? Because you had before.
I would say just build a close relationship with your kids. Take time to just sit down, talk to them. And, they always say, well, you can't be their friend, you can only be their parent, but there's a balance in between that. And I've really tried to walk that, as I have a daughter that's almost 18 now. And so, and it's tough. It's tough to do that because they don't always want to tell you everything. But definitely, inputting or installing an app such as Bark to be able to monitor, to get those notifications if anything's going on, but still have that trust basis with them and let them have their individuality and their identity outside of being, a helicopter parent, because it's tough to not do that. Where's that fine line of am I being overbearing? But I would definitely just say, when friends are coming over, there's no reason in the world that your kids' friends need to have tablets or smartphones with them unless it's an emergency. Now we have a rule where they check it at the door. If she's going to have friends over, just put it in a basket by the door. If you need to call your parents, go ahead. I'm not going to take it from you. I'm not going to go through your phone. But if you're going to hang out, spend some time together. It doesn't all need to be about phones, which is, in my daughter's friends' case, everybody is always on their phones. When they get together as friends, they're all just sitting on their phones. In their cheer groups or anything that they're doing, they're always, posting things. And I understand that even as an older millennial myself, I'm on my phone and, I work and things like that. But definitely know your kids as friends, build relationship with their friends' parents as well. Because they could be great families, but you never know what's going on inside of your kids' friends' smartphones. In this case, that's what happened. I trusted, this girl and her mom, and they're still great people, but, she fell, victim to grooming through Instagram, and there was no way for any of us to know that. So it's really just being vocal, being real with your friends with your kids' friends' parents as well as their friends.
Absolutely. You said that very eloquently and succinctly. I mean, that's what you have to do, is have ongoing conversations, even uncomfortable ones, and even letting your children know that you are there for them. You are a safe place for them when they want to talk, if they want to talk, no matter what they want to talk about. It goes a long way for them to be able to come to you with things like this, because they will encounter difficult situations, and peer pressure is real. And again, that frontal lobe is not fully formed, so we've got to guide them as much as we can. And then, obviously this is, I'm the CMO of Bark, and so I have a passion about keeping children safer online. And, as a company, we help keep kids safer online. We will alert parents in instances of online grooming and child predators and sexting, sexual content, sexual behavior that is happening on Instagram and in Instagram DMs and Snapchat and text messages, etc. Because there is a unfortunately large amount of those instances happening. So you can block a phone, you can block access to apps, block a device, block screen time, take away those sort of things. But that's a parental control. To have something different like Bark, which is parental monitoring, is that next layer of safety. For example, you took away your daughter's phone, but let's say she went to her friend's house and logged into her Instagram account on her friend's phone. Bark would pick up any sort of problem that would happen as a result of that. So, we are going to continue to work hard as a platform to educate parents, keep children safer online, and we want to help parents like you spread the word about what is actually happening in real life to parents who love their children and care for their children and educate their children, and yet still, sometimes bad things happen. Thankfully, your daughter is safe and her friend is safe. And have they given you any inkling of when you might be able to get a police report? Or
no, not as of yet. I went in about a week and a half ago, and I still wasn't able to get it because the case is still ongoing. They haven't closed it out, so therefore I have no access to a report. It's just a waiting game. Yeah.
So how can we as a community help you? I mean, we're sharing this on our Facebook page. We've got, tens of thousands of fans, and then this Facebook group we're also sharing in Parenting in a Tech World of parents who are just like us. We want to support each other. What can we do for you? How can we help you?
Oh, thank you so much. Well, just really spreading the awareness of this situation. I mean, it was such a personal situation that I didn't want to go public with initially. My post wasn't public. It was shared to a private group, and people asked me to go public with it, and I did. And it was shameful. I mean, I know many parents reached out to me and told me similar stories and similar situations. So just the fact that it's been able to be turned to good, and so much good has come of it. Had we had bark prior to all of this, I wouldn't have most likely taken my daughter's phone away. Had her friends had this bark on her phone, this could have been prevented. So I'm just grateful that it stopped before it went too bad, and grateful that it has been able to be turned to something good, positive.
Yeah, absolutely. We are, again, so grateful to you for being brave, for sharing your story, which is not comfortable. And as a result, you are helping to protect so many more children and families who are going to think again about whether something like this could happen to them. So thank you so much, Natasha. We really appreciate your time and your honesty. And thank you for being a part of Parenting in a Tech World. We've linked to that group below. And if parents want to connect with you after the fact, how do you prefer they do that? Maybe comment below, or is there a page we should link to, or how do you prefer to field communications from the public?
Normally just through Facebook Messenger is how I've been contacted.
Okay, cool. All right. So if you want to reach out to Natasha, feel free to comment below, send her a Facebook message, and yeah, we're here for you. Thank you again, and please let us know how we can help you in the future, no matter what.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.